Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate 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 Vasudevaya.
So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 12, text number 41. Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Vivatsam Kena Satkritaha.
Shivasankena Satkitaha.
Padman Shyatam Parikramya.
Amanjanam Parikrama.
Sanganah Svalayam Yayo.
Swagana Swalayam Yayo.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Vivatsam Kena Satkritaha.
Shivasankena Satkitaha.
Padman Shyatam Parikramya.
Amanjanam Parikramya.
Sanganah Svalayam Yayo.
Sagana Swalayam Yayo.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Vivatsam Kena Satkritaha.
Shivasankena Satkitaha.
Atman Shyatam Parikramya.
Amanjanam Parikramya.
Sanganah Svalayam Yayo.
Sagana Swalayam Yayo.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Vivatsam Kena Satkritaha.
Shivasankena Satkitaha.
Atman Shyatam Parikramya.
Amanjanam Parikramya.
Sanganah Svalayam Yayo.
Sagana Swalayam Yayo.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Shivatsankena Satkitaha.
Shivasankena Satkitaha.
Amantam Taprikrama.
Amantyatam Parikramya.
Saggana Svalayam Yayo.
Sagana Swalayam Yayo.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Shivasankena Satkitaha.
Shivasankena Satkitaha.
Amantyatam Parikramya.
Amantyatam Parikramya.
Sagana Swalayam Yayo.
Sagana Swalayam Yayo.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Shivasankena Satkitaha.
Shivasankena Satkitaha.
Amantriyatam Parikramya.
Amantyatam Parikramya.
Sagana Swalayam Yayo.
Sagana Swalayam Yayo.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Evam Bhagavata Rajan.
Shivasankena Satkitaha.
Shivasankena Satkitaha.
Amantyatam Parikramya.
Amantyatam Parikramya.
Sagana Swalayam Yayo.
Sagana Swalayam Yayo.
Shri Shuka Shri Sukha Vacha
Shri Sukha Vacha
Eva Bhagavata Rajan
Evam Bhagavata Rajan
Evam Bhagavata Rajan
Evam Bhagavata Rajan
Sri Vatsankena Satkitaha
Srivatsankena Satkitaha
Amantrayatam Parikarmya
Amantrayatam Parikramya
Samgana Savalayam Yayo
Sagana Svalayam Yayo
Shri Sukha Vacha
Shri Sukha Vacha
Evam Bhagavata Rajan
Evam Bhagavata Rajan
Shri Vatsankena Satkita
Srivatsankena Satkitaha
Amantrayatam Parikramya
Amantrayatam Parikramya
Sagana Svalayam Yayo
Sagana Svalayam Yayo
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Shri Sukha Uvacha
Shri Shukadev Goswami said,
Shri Shukadev Goswami said,
Evam,
thus,
Bhagavata,
Bhagavata,
by the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
By the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Rajan,
Rajan,
O King,
O King,
Srivatsa,
Srivatsa,
Kena,
Ankena,
who always carries the mark of Srivatsa on his breast,
who always carries the mark of Srivatsa on his breast,
Satkritaha,
Sakritaha,
being very much applauded,
being very much applauded,
Amantriya,
Amantriya,
taking permission from,
taking permission from,
Tam,
Tam,
him,
him,
Parikramya,
Parikramya,
circumambulating,
circumambulating,
Saganaha,
Saganaha,
with his associates,
with his associates,
Sva'alayam,
Sarayam,
to his own abode,
to his own abode,
Yayo,
Yayo,
went by.
went back.
Translation. Shukadev Goswami said, O King, having thus been praised by the Supreme Personality of who bears the mark Srivatsa on his chest, Lord Shiva circumambulated him. Then, after taking permission from him, Lord Shiva returned to his abode, Kailash, along with his associates. In response, please. Shukadev Goswami said,
Shukadev Goswami said,
O King,
O King,
having thus been praised by the Supreme Personality,
Having thus been praised by the Supreme Personality,
who bears the mark of Srivatsa
who bears the mark of Srivatsa
on his chest,
on his chest,
Lord Shiva circumambulated him.
Lord Shiva circumambulated him.
Then, after taking permission from him,
Then, after taking permission from him,
Lord Shiva returned to his abode,
Lord Shiva returned to his abode,
Kailash,
Kailash,
along with his associates.
along with his
his
associates.
associates.
Support by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarked that when Lord Shiva was offering obeisances unto Lord Vishnu arose and embraced him. Therefore the word Srivatsankena is used here. The mark Srivatsa adorns the chest of the Lord Vishnu, and therefore when Lord Vishnu embraced Lord Shiva while being circumambulated, the Srivatsa mark touched Lord Shiva's bosom. Om Gyanantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pastatya Deshatadine. So Krishna is a person, and sometimes say, why is Krishna blue? Why this? Why that? It just is. That's all. He's the last word. He's the ultimate, absolute truth, and therefore there's no cause Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Anadir Adir means he's the original cause and he's the cause of all other causes. And so at some point there has to be that last word. The scientists say it's what? A Big Bang. That's not very scientific. Or it's a primordial soup, or it's gases. But no, they're forgetting they don't know that there's a spiritual church behind the material energy, and that's working everything. And therefore they'll remain in illusion until the end of time unless they start to wake up to that point. That spirit is actually alive. It's matter which is actually dead. But we think the other way around in this material world. Actually, even matter's alive. It's just at different stages of development, that's all. According to Krishna's many energies, Parasha Shakti and Vividaiva Surates, energies are Vividaiva, they're many branched. Svabhika Jnana Bala Kriyacha. And they're working independently. And so, by Krishna's desire, those energies work in a certain way. And by Krishna's desire, they can work in another way. You can make what we call laws in this material world, and they're like principles, they're lines in stone. But they're not lines in stone for Krishna. He can reverse everything and make it work the other way around. How can somebody live in fire? We can't understand that. Anyway, we're going off the point a little bit, but Krishna's the supreme person, that's the point. And he has certain attributes and certain bodily features which we distinguish from all other personalities. And this one of these is that he wears Srivatsa. No other form wears that Srivatsa. And when Krishna's pleased, we've just been hearing about the embrace of a man and woman. We can't even imagine how attractive Mohini Murti is. But we can to some degree because we can see how attractive the opposite sex can be if we don't take shelter of Krishna. People, they go mad, completely crazy. And if that relationship breaks up, then they even commit suicide. So that's an inkling of how powerful the Mohini Murti is. Can we imagine how powerful the Mohini Murti is? And we shouldn't delve into these things. I just wonder how powerful. And so Lord Shiva was placed into that position where he was wondering, I'd just like to see how powerful being. And so when he said that to Lord Vishnu smiled with gravity. So we don't want a smile of gravity from Lord Vishnu. I mean, maybe in some situation, but not in that situation. In other words, he wasn't taking it lightly. You really want to see that form? Okay. And as soon as he saw that form, he completely lost it. And we heard just now of the preceding classes how much he was affected. And same with Markandeya Rishi. Markandeya Rishi, he just wanted to know something about, the creation of the Lord. How it's such a vast length of time. How can I understand it better? So Lord Vishnu smiled with gravity. And then, Markandeya Rishi was placed into the causal ocean for the full, the night of Lord Brahma. When Krishna wants us to learn something, he doesn't shortchange us, he doesn't pull any punches, you know what I mean? We really have to, because he knows how powerful this material energy is. And in order for us to learn something, we have to really go through it. Boom, 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 boom. lifetime after lifetime. So, you know, the Shastra advises that we should be in this situation. If we just hear patiently Srimad Bhagavatam and we hear from the Acharyas, then we don't have to go through what Markandeya Rishi had to do to understand what creation is. We just read it in Srimad Bhagavatam and accept it. We don't have to, you know, understand how beautiful the Mohini Murti is. You know, we don't want to. We just actually accept it from Shastra. And we keep engaged in devotional service. And so Lord Shiva understood that, you know, when he'd actually discharged semen, the passion had been temporarily abated. And so he came to his senses and he realized that this is the power of Lord Vishnu. And therefore he became peaceful. I'm safe in Vishnu's hands. I've just learnt a very severe lesson. And Lord Vishnu was pleased with that, now he'd come to his senses and he was not only peaceful, but he was seeing things with gravity also. So, this is the power of Maya. What's that? Tribhirguna Maya Bhaver Ebe Savamijamjat Mohitam. Mohitam means illusion. Nabhiganati Mabebhya Param Abhyayam. It's saying that bewildered by the three modes. Three modes are one of Krishna's energies, that's all, just one of the many energies. And it's totally designed just to control everything in this material world. And we've got no shelter but the three modes of material nature. The mind permeated by the three modes of nature. The intelligence is permeated by the three modes of material nature. What chance do we have? You know, we think we're going to work something out without Krishna. And we do, don't we? We try to do that. Krishna puts us into a situation we've really got to work it out. What do? We become frustrated, even angry sometimes. Is that right? And then after some time I think, maybe I should take shelter of Krishna. What does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? Chetasa sarvakamani maya sanyashi matpara uriyogam zapashvicham achita sasadambhava. He says, in all activities, just depend upon me. Just depend upon me right from the very beginning and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So this is the example of the father, isn't it? The young son is completely dependent on his father. Especially the one who's actually the most dependent, the youngest. He really takes care. And so we have to be actually in that frame of mind. That we're actually completely in an awkward situation unless we actually take shelter of Krishna. Yeah. And that's a lesson that's been learnt by Lord Shiva here and for everybody else's benefit. Don't try and be over-intelligent and understand things by our own endeavour. You know, put Krishna into the equation in everything we do. I once said to Prahlad Maharaj when I was travelling with him, before I took sannyasi, and he was showing me the ropes. And so when I prepared for last Maharaj, then I actually, I prepare and then I asked Krishna for help. He said, you should be doing that right at the beginning. So that's the situation, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who does that. Yeah, the science of devotional service is becoming aware. There's a protocol. There's activities to perform and activities we don't perform. And these activities are solely to keep us from being captured by the illusory energy of the Lord. And when we actually follow them nicely, then we're actually protected. when we actually don't follow them nicely, then we're vulnerable. This is the point. No matter how much we think we're actually advanced or how strong we are, we'll be caught out at some point. And the ultimate principle is what? What's the ultimate principle in devotional service?
Surrender to Krishna.
Eh?
Surrender to Krishna.
Surrender to Krishna. How?
By serving Gurudev.
Eh?
By serving Gurudev.
Yeah. You know, do we serve Gurudev? What do we say when we surrender to a spiritual master? I promise to
Or chant 16 rounds.
16 rounds. Attentive Maha Mantra. And then we can follow 4 A's principle. If we take shelter of this holy name, then there's nothing can hurt us. And so, I think I said, Prabhupada was with the Srutakirti. He served him for 4 years. And Srutakirti at one point, he was getting a little bit loose, you know, in his devotional service. Prabhupada recognised, Srutakirti wrote this actually himself. He said, I wasn't chanting my rounds. No, he wasn't chanting all of them. So when, Prabhupada was chanting his rounds, Srutakirti was there. And nearby, and he chanted really pronounced, toward Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. For the, and then he picked his beers up, he just said, finished now. He said, now I can do anything I want, any damn thing I want. But the point is, you won't do any damn thing you want if you chant your rounds. He was just making that point that, okay, you want to do so many things, and chant your rounds first, and then do them. Chant 16 attentive rounds first. Yeah, because these modes, we don't know how to work with the modes, and we get in trouble when we don't know how to work with the modes. We become frustrated when we don't know how to work with the modes. We become angry when we're not working, we're not working properly with the modes. And what does it say? It said we shouldn't try to enjoy, in 14th chapter, what's the title of this 14th chapter? The 3 modes of material nature. And it says there that one who's in knowledge shouldn't try to enjoy this world or enjoy the modes of nature, and one shouldn't try to get out of them. And the philosophy is we're trying to get out of the modes of material nature. It says, well, we've got this material body and mind and intelligence, we're subjected to the influence of the modes of material nature. And so it said, Chetasa, so if we're actually working under Krishna's direction with body, mind and words, we're actually conscious, Krishna conscious, while we're actually working, then we don't become frustrated. So, we have to learn this science because we are going through life and we keep getting caught up. We have to keep going back to the beginning, understanding what we should be doing, and then trying again until we get it right. And it's a constant endeavour from the beginning of our devotional service to the end. And when Krishna sees that we're sufficiently serious about applying the process, then we'll be protected. We can't get out of this material world by our own endeavours. It's only by the protection of Krishna and by the influence of Krishna's mercy. And this is what Lord Shiva was understanding here. Leave a little bit of time to talk about Madhvandrapuri. But yeah, Lord Shiva, Krishna uses his advanced devotees. He says Vaishnava Mitashambhu. Yeah, he's the greatest Vaishnava. So he used his greatest Vaishnava and put him into the most awkward position you could possibly imagine in this world. He was running after this. He put Lord Brahma into the same situation at the beginning of creation. just to emphasize how powerful this sex energy is. It's very, very powerful. And he showed by first Brahma was running after his own daughter. And his sons were, trying to say, you really shouldn't be doing this. But it made no difference. And then he came to his senses, and so he changed his body. He was so disgusted. What does he mean he changed his body? No, he changed his subtle body. He changed his mind and intelligence. And he fixed them in Krishna consciousness. That's how we change the body. That's how the body changes. When the mind's completely absorbed, the body becomes like Krishna, from Krishna eyes, right? It's like we put a poker in fire, and the poker eventually becomes white hot. It becomes like fire. And then, same with Lord Shiva. He was running all over the place after this Mataji, after Mohini Murti. He even actually ran past he was actually originally, he ran through Mount Kailash where all his disciples are. His disciples must have been completely, bewildered by what was on. Can you imagine if your own spiritual master, he sat discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, and your own spiritual master was running past, running after a Mataji. And how would the spiritual master feel, after he woke up at the other end? Wow! Anyway, I think it's been made obvious that, Krishna is not a sentimental person. He's got the deepest sentiments, but when he wants to, if he actually loves us, when he wants to purify us, we've got to be ready for this. That's why he was satisfied with Lord Shiva, that he accepted. Wow, Krishna's learned me a real lesson there. And so that's how we advance in devotional service. Even when things are not going right, it's actually when we usually make the most progress. Okay, so so today is Madhvandrapuri appearance day, right? Disappearance day. Just testing. Disappearance day. So what they call his disciple who was serving at that time when he was Ramachandra. Ramachandra, yeah. So he didn't learn, he was a disciple, but he wasn't actually following the process properly. He came to the conclusion when his spiritual master was leaving this world, his spiritual master was lamenting about he hadn't been serious enough in his devotional service, and he was completely humbled by the processes as a pure devotee. He doesn't think he's advanced. And so therefore he was actually lamenting that he couldn't attain Krishna, and he wasted so much time. And his disciple Ramachandra, he couldn't understand the mentality of a pure devotee, and he was preaching to him that this is Maya to lament. And so Madhvandrapuri just said, get him out of here. So we don't want to be like that, don't understand this process properly. And then, but the most popular story of Madhvandrapuri is when he went to Vrindavan. He was sannyasi. He was in the Gaudiya, he was in the Madhava Sampradaya. He says that it's Madhvandrapuri who really connected it and made it the Gaudiya Sampradaya, Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. Because he created a big change in the Sampradaya. He added the attributes of conjugal love within the teachings of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, and service in separation from the Lord. That's what he was doing when he was leaving this world. He was in separation, and therefore, he was the spiritual master of Ishvarapuri, and Ishvarapuri was the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya. Also, the disciples of Madhvandrapuri was Lord Nityananda and Sri Advaitacharya. So they were senior to Lord Chaitanya in that respect. And it said that Madhvandrapuri, Vishvarupa, Lord Chaitanya's brother, or Kameka Chakri, he actually left with one sannyasi. They said that sannyasi was Lakshmipati Tirtha. He's the spiritual master of Madhvandrapuri, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but you'll have to check the Bhagavad Gita. But he went to Pandapur eventually in Bombay side, isn't it? Pandapur. And residing there was Madhvandrapuri. And they actually really got on together. And it said that they were considered to be both, like students of Lakshmipati Tirtha. So some say he's a disciple of Madhvandrapuri, and some say that he's actually the godbrother of Nityananda. So Madhvandrapuri went to Vrindavan, and he circumambulated Govardhan Hill, went to Govindakund, took his bath, and he was sat, nice, peaceful after being purified, and he was meditating. And then this little boy came towards him and said, "Here, I brought you some milk." I said, "How did you know I was here?" He says, and the little boy said to him, he said, what are you doing? Where have you come from? What are you meditating on? And, he was saying in such a sweet voice, and he was so as a young boy sometimes, or even a little girl, they're so attractive, and he was like mesmerised by this little boy. He says, "How did you know I was here? Where did you come from?" He said, "I came from the village, and some women from the village saw you here, and they told me, and usually anybody who goes to our village, they just beg and everything they want, the women give it them, and he says, but those who don't beg, I make sure they get it." He said, "So they told me I was here, so I brought you this milk." He said, "And I have to go now, but I'll come back for the pot, after some time, so you just wait." So anyway, Madhvandrapuri, he drank the milk, and he was waiting and waiting and waiting, and he never came back. And so he assumed that, But that night when he went to sleep, he dreamt about this little boy again. It was in a boy's form. He said, "Madhvandrapuri, it's so hot. I'm buried in the jungle near Govardhan. Please come and, relieve me from this difficult situation." And when Madhvandrapuri awoke, it was such a vivid dream, and the place that he described was exactly. So he told in that village, he told everybody in the village, and so they all went and they started digging, and then eventually Madhvandrapuri found this Gopal deity, and so in that dream, the deity had asked him to build a temple on top of a hill. And they built it on top of Govardhan Hill, is that right? Yeah. And and so he would be in a cool situation within the temple, and it would relieve him from the heat. And so Madhvandrapuri spent a long time there. They built this temple, they installed Gopal, and then Gopal told Madhvandrapuri, he said, "I'm still hot." He says, "It's really hot in this in this temple. He said, I want you to go to Jagannath Puri and ask the pujaris there for some camphor and sandalwood, and then you can bring it back and you can mix it, grind it, mix it, then you can smear it, and that will cool me down. So it wasn't just like nipping down the road to get something. It was like 2,000 miles, or getting on, maybe 1,500. From that was it, 1,500 miles or something like that, yeah. And it's not that there was like highways or good footpaths. He just had to go by the ordinary paths that the pilgrims went. And so it took him, quite a few days, a couple of weeks. And eventually he came to one place called Ramona, that's not far from Jagannath Puri. And there, he was talking to the pujari of one temple, the Gopinath temple. He said, I'd like to learn, culinary art of what you offer to the deity. He says, can I stay here a while and learn some preparations? And the pujari said, well, as it happens, this is a very famous preparation we do here called, what they call it, Amrita Keli. It's sweet rice, and it was famous all over the world. And at that time they were just pretty, so we make 12 pots every day and put it before the deity. And so the pujari was just putting the pots out as he was speaking. And it caught Madhvandrapuri's imagination, and he wasn't thinking about enjoying it at all, but he was thinking, yeah, I would like to make this. It'd be good to taste it, and I would know how to make it. And that's all he thought. And then, he realized, I'm desiring to taste the sweet rice before it's offered. And he started to lament. And so that night he went into an empty marketplace and was chanting japa, meditating all night. And that night, that pujari who had been speaking to had a dream. And one of the Gopinath deity had actually told him that I've hidden one offering of this sweet rice. There was only 11. But I bewildered the pujari, so he didn't count properly. I put it behind the curtain. So when he said, he was talking to the pujari, he said, I bewildered you so you wouldn't notice. I wanted to get that extra pot of sweet rice and go to the marketplace. There you'll find Madhvandrapuri. This was, early in the morning, there was nobody about. And so sure enough, the pujari went, and there it was, the sweet rice. And so he went and took it to the marketplace. He was shouting for Madhvandrapuri. And then Madhvandrapuri came. He said, yes. He said, Gopinath, the deity in the temple sent you this sweet rice. And so, he actually didn't, he knew that it'll spread all over Ramona. So he just went on his way. He didn't want to be seen as being a great Vaishnava. He didn't think he was a great Vaishnava anyway. And so, but by the time he reached Jagannath Puri, the word of mouth travelled faster than the legs. And everybody in Jagannath Puri realised. And so when he went to the Jagannath temple, he asked for this. He asked for the things that local deity had asked, some camphor and some sandalwood, and they bestowed so much camphor and sandalwood on him to take back to Vrindavan. And so on his way back, he called in at Ramona again. And he was staying there a few days, and then he had a dream, another dream, and this time it was a Gopal deity in Vrindavan. And the Gopal deity explained that there's no difference between me and Gopinath. He says you can stay there, and instead of bringing all that to Vrindavan, you can grind it, mix it with camphor, and every day spread it on the Gopinath deity, and that will actually cool me down also. And just use it all up and then come back to Vrindavan. So this pastime was told by Lord Chaitanya when he took sannyas. One of the first places he went was to Ramuna. I assume it wasn't a coincidence. He's just took sannyas, and his grand spiritual master is Madhvandrapuri, and he's more or less the leader of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. And he told this story. Nishinanda actually told the story, and Lord Chaitanya was listening with rapt attention. And so it's mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita how he glorified Madhvandrapuri's devotional service and his attitude that a devotee is never seeking to be seen as a great devotee. He's always taking the lower position. I mean, that way a devotee is always individually satisfied and peaceful in his devotional service. But he has asabandha, even though he doesn't think he's qualified. What keeps him, enthusiastic, that he actually understands the nature of Krishna. He's come to save the most fallen, and therefore he has asabandha, means great hope that just by carrying on in his devotional service, he'll achieve the goal of life. He'll achieve perfection. What did I say just before that? There was something I was going to go off onto. About the mood of love. Yeah, that's right, the mood of the devotee. And there's one long story. I won't go into the story about what do you call that devotee? The great disciple of Ramanujacharya. Anyway, he saved Ramanachandra. Ramanuja. He saved Ramanuja from a great dangerous situation. There was one great king there in that area, King Kola, Kolatunga. And he was there's always a big between Shivites and Vaishnavas, but he was a worshipper of Shiva. And he wanted to make the whole part of it, that part of India, the whole of India eventually, into Shivites. And so, and he wasn't a very merciful king either. And so he heard about Ramanujacharya's preaching, and he was told by an ex-disciple of Ramanujacharya. He'd defected and come to King Kolatunga. And for some reason he'd got some animosity in his heart. And he told him that he could defeat Ramanujacharya by asking for a debate. And I'm not sure Ramanujacharya would accept that. And if the king won the debate, and if Ramanujacharya won the debate, then he would kill him. He would actually imprison him and kill him. And so this devotee was saved. I can't remember his name now. Croatia. His name was Croatia. He told Ramanujacharya of this great, and Ramanujacharya said, well, I'm under Krishna's protection. But he was so persistent, he said, let me go in your place. Anyway, I've got, to get to the point I want, it's going to take longer than 10 minutes, so quickly. Anyway, he went in his place, and they actually finished up torturing him. They burnt out his eyes and everything and left him to die in the forest. And when Ramanujacharya heard about it, he went to him and he said, ask the deity for your eyes back, he'll give them to you. But Croatia wouldn't listen. No, this is what has been ordained for me, it's good for me. And he told him several times to go to pray to the deity, and he did. He prayed to the deity the first time, and that he said, yes, I'm so happy with your services. What do you want? And the deity was waiting for him to say, give me my eyes back, because he wanted to give him his eyes back. He says, I pray for that king Kolatunga, that he'll go back to Godhead. And the king, you know, due to the way he treated Vaishnava, he grew a big carbuncle next to his own head, bigger than his own head. And it was, you know, that carbuncle was full of worms, and it was eating away his body. That is simple. And then he eventually died from it. So the deity said, are you sure that's what you want? He's already in hell. He said, no, deliver him. So he sent him back. He went to the spiritual world. And then the one who actually was a disciple of Ramanujacharya and told the king what to do, the next time he went to the deity asked, yeah, well, I'll give you any benediction you want. He says, tell, I can't remember his name, that you know, so-and-so, he goes back to the spiritual world as well. And so that's the tradition of a Vaishnava. He doesn't want anything for himself, he wants only for others. It was another story actually that the spiritual master of Ramanujacharya, I can't remember his name, but he had one disciple who wanted to he wanted to make progress in devotional service, and I forget the whole story, but he asked him a question: what is the nature of a pure devotee, of a Vaishnava? And so this spiritual master of Ramanujacharya, what was his name now? Yamunacharya, that's right. He sent him to another devotee, didn't he? I can't remember his name either. He says, yeah, go to so-and-so, and he'll be able to perfectly describe to you what is the nature of a Vaishnava. And so, you know, he had to travel a long way to get to this ashram of the other spiritual master. And when he arrived at the ashram, you know, he got a chance to speak to him, and he said, my spiritual master Yamunacharya sent me here to ask you, what is the nature of a Vaishnava? What's the quality of a Vaishnava? And he just walked away. Then he came back later, he said, I'll tell you afterwards. He said, but now, I just want, you know, all these pilgrims have come, I want you to serve these pilgrims. And so, you know, he did, he served all the pilgrims. And then there was another batch, and he was just going to sit down and eat like the rest of the servers. And the spiritual master came to him and said, no, you serve the next batch also. So he served it, and this went on all day. And at the end of the day, he sat down and he got something to eat. And then this service went on for a whole year. Not that particular service, but he was serving in that ashram for a whole year. Then eventually, you know, he got an opportunity to speak to the Guru again. He says, what? And he said, yeah, what was your question? He says, what's the nature of a Vaishnava? And he mentioned so many things. He said, a Vaishnava is like a heron. A Vaishnava is like this, and a Vaishnava is like that. But I won't go through them all. And eventually he said, a Vaishnava is like you. So he meant a Vaishnava is always serving. And he says he's also, in the same way, he's like salt. Have you heard this one of salt? When you cook a meal, somebody says, wow, this is really good for sure. What do you put in it? I put cumin, hing, turmeric, ginger, a little bit of chili. And they never say I put salt in it, do they? They never glorify the salt. But without salt, all the other things are useless. So that's the nature of a Vaishnava, that, you know, he's always trying to serve, and he's always trying to make the situation good for other devotees. He's always trying to push on the movement of his spiritual master, but he doesn't want any praise. He doesn't want any aggrandizement or praise himself. So this was the mood of Madhvandrapuri. And that's why Lord Chaitanya made a special point to tell this pastime. He was always emphasizing the mood of service. So we can stop there. We've got 5 minutes left. So if there's any comments or questions, you can ask. No comments, no questions.
No.
It's all right, you don't have to.
What should we, thank you Maharaj for this wonderful explanation. What should we remember? What's the message we should get from Madhvandrapuri to inspire bhakti in spiritual life?
So many. You just remember that story, then we'll be okay for the rest of his lifetime. He went to great pains to serve the Lord, didn't he? He just didn't want any recognition for himself. If we do that alone, of course, within our capability, we don't push ourselves beyond our. We push ourselves, but not beyond, to breaking point. We have to know our nature. The spiritual master knows our nature also. So, but we end up, we sincerely endeavour in this lifetime to serve this movement, and Prabhupada will be happy with us. And we try to, give others the glorification. This is our mood. When the disciples of Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur offered obeisance to him, they didn't used to like to do it because he used to say, "Dasosmi, I am your servant." So they would offer the obeisances from a distance. And when, Prabhupada, he said, you're all, to all his early disciples, you're all representatives of my spiritual master. He's sent you here to help me. That's the way he saw. When he landed in Boston and he saw the state of the city, when he came back on the boat, he wrote Bhagavatam Dam, that poem. And he was saying that, my dear Lord Krishna, I don't know why you've brought me to this horrible place. He says, in other words, he frankly admitted, I have no ability to actually preach here. But if you want me to, then you can fulfill that desire. But he was prepared to dance. He was prepared to, dance according to Krishna's tune. And so that's why, we have many spiritual masters. We may not function in one situation, but we can function in another situation. But we should always be within the protection of ISKCON and serve the ISKCON movement. And that might mean, serving very obediently, and sometimes we may have to speak up when we think something maybe needs to be adjusted. But we want to keep that by service in this movement, we're serving all the devotees. Okay, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanand.
Maharaj ki.